If you're building an enterprise SaaS, you are not just solving a problem. You are solving a problem inside someone else's complex, regulated, legacy-ridden, multi-persona ecosystem. This space is full of opportunity, but also full of pitfalls that are shockingly consistent across companies. I've worked with 600 plus SaaS products over the past 18 years, and I have seen mistakes happen at startups, scale-ups, and even inside Fortune 500 vendor teams. In this video, I'm breaking down the most common and the most costly mistakes teams make while building enterprise SaaS software. I'll share real product examples, current data, and clear strategies to help you avoid these issues in your own roadmap. And before we get into it, if you want more deep dive content like this every week, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. One of the fastest ways to waste engineering team and budget is to build without validation. We once reviewed a product that spent 9 months building a platform for supply chain analytics without speaking to a single customer. It launched to silence. The reason? The pain point they solved wasn't considered urgent or valuable by the actual buyers. And this isn't rare. A 2021 industry study found that over 1/3 of startup failures were due to building something no one wanted. That slat is even more dangerous in enterprise where user and buyer are rarely the same person. Let me show you what this disconnect actually looks like, because it's one of the most common reasons products get built for the wrong stakeholders. The buyer wants to know, is it secure, compliant, and integrates with the tools we already use? Meanwhile, the user is asking, can I automate this workflow without calling IT? If you do not discover both paths, you will build for one and frustrate the other. That's how adoption fails post-sale, even if the product looks good on paper. When Salesforce acquired Quip, the goal was to integrate collaboration into CRM workflows, but it never became a core part of enterprise users. Why? Because the core user workflow were not deeply validated across Salesforce's base. It remained underutilized despite the tech being sound. Your roadmap must be validated with real feedback before it becomes a real backlog. Enterprise SaaS doesn't just serve users, it integrates into organizations. That means more data, more account, more workflows. And if you haven't built that from the day one, you will hit bottlenecks first. I worked with a CRM company that onboarded a mid-sized client and saw their API responses time jump from 400 milliseconds to over 5 seconds just because tenant filtering and indexing were poorly handled. Here is what poor versus resilient backend architecture looks like at a high level, especially when serving multiple enterprise tenants. On the left, you have got a monolith with shared tables and blocking queries. Looks simple until a single report blocks the whole DB. On the right, you separate responsibilities. Reporting is asynchronous. Tenants do not interfere. Your ops team doesn't panic every time load spikes. You do not need to build for millions of users, but you do need caching in place. Read-write separation when possible. Asynchronous processing for anything that could block under load. Clear separation between business logics and infrastructure. This doesn't mean over-architecting. It means not assuming we'll scale it later will work in a post-sale pilot. Complexity feels like control, but it often hides chaos. One early stage product I audited had 19 microservices, event-driven everything, and automated failovers before they had a stable paying customer. Developers spend more time debugging queues than improving usability. Most enterprise SaaS products do not need microservices early. What they need is a separation of concerns, clean service boundaries, and one deployable unit that is fast to iterate on. If your infra takes more time to manage than your product, it's time to rethink. Speed isn't optional. In enterprise, a few seconds of lag feels like the entire system is unreliable. I've sat through the demos where dashboards took 10 seconds to load and the client never booked the follow-up. It didn't matter that the product had the feature. It didn't feel dependable. This is where fundamentals matter. Use background queues for large operation. Cache query-heavy views. Monitor real user performance, not just developer benchmarks. And optimize your front-end payload. SAP Concur nearly lost enterprise clients because expense reports were loading too slowly. The issue wasn't the servers, it was the reports that were pulling too much live data. Once they started pre-processing those reports, performance improved and clients stayed. If your product is slow, users assume everything else is broken, even if it is not. If you are pushing straight to production with minimal tests, you are one mistake away from breaking trust with a major account. We worked with a team that accidentally introduced a billing logic bug during an update. It sent out duplicate invoices to every user on a Friday night. The issue wasn't the bug. It was that there was no staging environment, no rollback plan, and no alerting in place. Fixing it took 5 days. Regaining the client's confidence took 6 months. So every enterprise deploy should have regression tests on core flows, staging environment with representative data, feature flag rollouts, and clear rollback steps. Even if you ship slower, you will retain the speed of trust. Still deploying manually, you are adding friction to every change. In one project we overhauled, the team was spending nearly 20% of their total development time just coordinating and verifying deploys. Once CI/CD was in place, deploy time dropped by 80% and error rate fell significantly. Even a basic pipeline setup can do wonders, like linting, build and unit test automation, Dockerized containers and reproducible deploy environments, auto rollback triggers based on health, and pipeline level security checks. Shopify deploys 50 plus times per day safely because of strong CI/CD culture. That velocity enables constant iteration without chaos. Compare that to a client I worked with who manually posts zip files to servers. After moving to pipelines, they tripled release frequency and reduced errors by 70%. So DevOps isn't a cost center, it's a multiplier, especially in enterprise deals where uptime and change management are part of the evaluation. Zoom originally used Twilio for messaging, but once users surged, they built their own infra for more control and reliability. Enterprise SaaS almost always needs integrations. SSO, CRMs, analytics, file storage, you name it. But every third-party service is a risk surface and should be treated as such. One product I reviewed had hardwired its login flow to a startup's beta SDK. When that provider made a breaking change, 2,000 enterprise users couldn't access the product for an entire morning. That is why integrations need interface abstraction, so they can be swapped if needed. Number 2, version pinning. 3, failover strategies, and minimal reliance on beta features. The more critical the feature, the less you should rely on someone else's roadmap. Not tracking errors, engagement, or users patterns, that's like flying a plane without instruments. In one case, a product team nearly sunset a feature that actually had the highest adoption rate among power users. They just hadn't instrumented it. Let me show you how bad product decisions happened without visibility and how one chart could have solved a quarter's worth of rework. Teams assumed feature A was the most valued, so they planned to double down on it. But the actual usage showed feature B was the star. Without this data, they almost deprecated a feature that drove retention. Logging isn't just an operational insurance, it's roadmap clarity. You need visibility, you need context. So at the very least, you need to centralized error tracking, have real-time logs, have uptime and health dashboard, and feature level analytics. This is what turns support into prevention and product planning into data-driven strategy. Security isn't something enterprise buyers ask about. They assume it is already handled. And if it is not, the deal doesn't even start. We have seen deals fall through because the buyer couldn't get clarity on encryption practices, audit logs, or user role control. And once you are tagged as not ready, you do not get a second shot quickly. So at a minimum, your product should support encryption at rest and in transit, role-based permissions, audit logs, and secure authentication and session control. You do not need every certification, but you do need to pass the sniff test when procurement and IT teams get involved. So guys, the difference between enterprise SaaS that scales and those that stall isn't innovation, it's execution. Most of the mistakes we talked about here are not technical failures. They are avoidable decision gaps. If you can avoid them early, you will move faster later without rewrites, outages, or broken trust. So guys, if you want to be smarter, ship better, and scale with fewer mistakes, please make sure you subscribe. I break down these frameworks and lessons from real projects every single week. Thank you so much for watching and keep building what lasts.